Okay, welcome everybody to the very first Somatic Sundays, Somatic practice. Really happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey, for carving out some time for yourself, and for gifting yourself this time and space just to rest, to nourish, to connect with your body, and just to be curious and see what is alive for you at the current moment. So I am doing this in my room. I love to practice in my own personal space, and I love to show and demonstrate that you really don't need a lot of space or a separate space dedicated to practice. You can I even moved some little furniture around. I created some space. I love to have a little altar personally, with some things that are meaningful to me, but feel free to make yourself and your space cozy in whatever way works for you. I have a pillow just in case, if I need to sit on something or need some support for my neck. And I just like to take a moment to ground in the space and to set it up in a way that makes me feel protected and less distracted, and like a space that I can melt into. So if you need a moment, feel free to pause the video and just set up your space with whatever tools, props, incense, candle, tea, anything that is going to make you feel at home. When we make ourselves feel home in space, we can come home to our body as well. When you're ready, I would invite you to come. Well, before we begin, I want to remind you that you don't need any particular experience or background to be here. This is a space for anyone and everyone. We all need space to drop back into our bodies, into a space free of distractions, free of any sense of doing. And so I just want to remind you that this is for everybody. And if you don't have much experience with yoga or meditation or free movement, that's totally fine. You are so welcome here. And the basis for me of somatic movement, which I think of as anything that really stems from the body itself, wisdom and interaction and intuition that comes from a bottom-up source as opposed to a top-down kind of rational mental understanding. When we think about somatic movement, I really think about moving from a place of intuition and ease and fluidity. So it's much, much less about any sense of doing it right, putting myself in a specific posture, pushing past boundaries and limitations. We don't need to be or want to be moving into any sense of pain. This is really a space where we're going to settle down our nervous system and give ourselves a break from the sense of doing, achieving, striving. So much yoga these days and physical exercise and movement is tailored towards pushing. And we tend to live our lives already so much in that way that I really want to cultivate a space that gives us ground and ease. So that is all to say that at any time during this practice, you can take a break, you can rest in Shavasana or a child's pose. If you don't know what those are, I'll demonstrate, but you can simply lie on your back and breathe. You can come to any kind of state of rest. This is a child's pose. With the forehead on the floor and the heels tucked. But really I just want to encourage you to be the master and creator of your own space. That I am simply a guide here, and you can follow along as much as you like, and I encourage you to do so, but know that you have complete power and agency to move at your own pace and in your own rhythm and in your own way. So if anything I say or offer doesn't feel right for you, please modify, shift, pause, whatever you need to continue to feel comfortable and nourished in this space. Beautiful. So with that, let's begin our first practice. And I would have you come to lying on your back. Come to lying on your back, and your feet can either be flat on the floor with the knees bent like I have them here, or if it feels better for you to extend and take a bit of more of a restful start, feel free to do so. I'm going to start with my feet flat on the floor and my knees bent. And just begin to feel the back body along the ground. So anything that's in connection with the ground, the backs of the legs, the bottoms of the feet, the entire spine, the back of the head. Just begin to bring your awareness to that connection with the ground. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. If you'd like, you can purse the lips on the exhalation. Let's take 2 more of those. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling nice and long out the mouth. 1 more. If you'd like, and it feels comfortable for you, you can close the eyes or just soften the gaze. Inhale. Really letting go, letting any tension in the shoulders, the forehead, the jaw, the eyes. Just releasing any firm grip on any part of the body. If the eyes are open, simply soften the gaze so you're not looking at any one thing in particular. And if the eyes are closed, simply let the eyelids be heavy and easeful. Take 1 hand on the chest, above the heart, and 1 hand onto the belly. Feel and find the breath. If the breath feels like it's coming higher into the chest, that's okay. We're just going to encourage it to fill and rise through the belly first, little bit by little bit. We don't need to force it. But we can take some bigger belly breaths as we encourage the diaphragm to move and engage. And as the diaphragm deepens into the belly area, we might feel the spine want to elongate, the neck elongate. So feel free to make any adjustments in the shoulders and the back of the head and the spine as we deepen the breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose. At any time through the practice, if you want to vocalize a big sigh or any sort of sound or release, a yawn, sometimes burps or belches, anything at all, just remember you are in your own safe space and you can be as vocal and loud as you like. So, feeling the rise and fall of the breath with that 1 hand on the belly and 1 hand on the heart. We recognize the receptivity of the earth beneath us. We take a moment and drop our awareness to the back of the head, to the spine, to the sacrum, the sit bones at the tail of the spine that are planted so firmly and nicely in the earth, in this supported posture. As we remember that we can always pause and be received here in this type of space. Let's let the knees open wide into a reclined butterfly. So the soles of the feet can come together and the knees can go wide. If there's any pain in the knees, you can put a pillow under each knee and just feel a bit more supported there. So in our reclined butterfly, we're letting the hips open, the knees draw towards the floor. And again, we're finding that breath in the low belly as it rises up through and along the spine into the chest. And then exhaling deeply, either out of the nose or mouth. Beautiful. And let's take the arms up above the head, and we're going to cross elbows and grasp the outer edges of the elbows. Just fixing the mic here. So grasp the outer edges of the elbows, and if you can, let the forearms rest against the floor up above the head. If they have trouble reaching there, maybe place a pillow at the top of the head and let the forearms rest on that. Using props and pillows to support is such a beautiful way to encourage the body to soften and release, to know that we're not doing it all by ourselves and that we don't need to do it all by ourselves. We're not only supported by the earth, but we can give ourselves support by encouraging that release and the use of tools and props. You can switch the clasp of the elbows, so put the opposite arm on top and just feel and notice if that is different for you. If it engages a bit of a different sense of muscles, or there's a deeper or stretch, or perhaps a looser sense. Nothing to change or fix. We're simply taking stock and noting what's alive for us in our body. Breathing now more into the side body and the ribs, as we extend through the chest and the collarbones and the shoulders. You can interlace the fingers and take what would be like a nice morning stretch, as if you're waking up, getting out of bed. Stretch the legs long, maybe slide the hips up and down. Deep breath, open the chest wide. I like to come into my ankles a bit and just pedal out the feet, give them some ankle circles, ankle rolls, kind of just waking up the joints a bit. And waking up not just to this day, but to myself, to my body. Where am I in space? What's my environment like? I'm taking my arms up above and starting to circle the wrists and playing with the wrists and the finger joints. And as you can tell, I'm still moving my hips a little bit. It's just kind of coming into a full body exploration, really gentle, sliding, gliding. And just a sense of, okay, how am I feeling today in my body? Where am I in space? Can I give myself a sense of my environment and my presence within the environment. So opening through hands and fingers, maybe through the elbows as well. The joints really love to circle, so any kind of circular motion that you can bring into the fingers, the wrists, the elbows. Staying connected with the breath and just allowing a bit of discovery here. So could look like stretching overhead, circling above into the air, spreading the arms out wide in a nice T. Beautiful. And maybe coming into the shoulders a bit, letting the arms rest, just rolling a bit the shoulders. And as we engage the shoulders, we come to the neck and the head. So rolling the neck and the head side to side. Maybe taking an ear down to a shoulder and then to the opposite. If you did the joint articulation reset that I sent out as a welcome gift and letter, you can notice that we're moving through similar patterns of opening through the joints, which really is the simplest and easiest way to drop into the body and give yourself a sense of connection to how the body is in this current time and space. It helps to circulate blood flow, move any stagnant blockages, and give us just an idea of where we might be tight or holding on, or what feels loose or good, or maybe, my right hip's a little tighter today. Maybe I want to stretch a little bit into that, or just be mindful of how much I'm sitting at one time. Okay, beautiful. Let's bend the knees. Bring the feet flat on the floor, and then we're going to hug the knees into the chest. So you can clasp the hands above the knees, and then bring the knees in towards the chest. And I'm not tugging here at all. I'm really kind of just clasping the hands and allowing gravity and the weight of my hands to bring the knees towards the chest. But I'm not straining or using any muscular effort to do so. As we breathe with the knees into the chest, we can feel the belly kind of come into contact with the tops of the thighs, reminding us that we're home, we're safe within our body, we're here, we're together. Release through the mouth. Beautiful. And then let's straighten the left leg all the way down, and we're going to clasp the right knee. And now we can give a little bit more of a squeeze, bringing that right knee in towards the chest, and also activating the left leg. So my left foot is flexed back slightly, and I'm just giving it the whole left leg, a gentle push into the ground, and that will begin to create some separation and space across the hips. My lifted knee, my right knee, always wants to turn out a little bit towards 45 degrees and out towards the armpit. And I find it opens up a bit more in my glute and across the hip as I do so. So if that feels good for you, feel free to bring the knee out towards your armpit. Again, just remembering the belly breath and a sense of ease. We're engaging the muscles here as we pull the knee in, but we're doing our best not to tension in the neck or strain in the shoulders. We're going to use gravity as our best friend and the main driver of our movements here. Okay, I'm going to release that right knee, extend the right leg all the way down, and bring the left knee in and up towards the chest. I'm going to begin with a deep inhalation, inhaling, letting the knee float away, and then exhaling, drawing that knee in towards the chest as I flex the right foot and leg. Shoulders are dropped, forehead is relaxed, eyes are soft. Another deep breath, and on the exhale, I'm going to let that left knee float towards the left armpit, kind of coming across and out towards a 45-degree angle. Enjoying a bit of silence and space here. And then gently releasing your clasp on the knee as you straighten both legs. And just give both legs and feet a nice little wiggle. A nice kind of shake and release. Let the ankles flop either side. Maybe you want to, I don't know what this is called, pat the legs up and down, bend one knee and then the other, and just shake and release any holding there. Good. We're going to come into a happy baby next, which there are two versions of. The first, kind of more classical version, is clasping the outside of the feet with the hands. And again, we're drawing just gently the knees towards the armpits. We don't want to lift the spine too much, so as best we can, the sacrum and the sit bones stay connected to the ground. If this version feels like too much for you, feel free to make the shins parallel to the ground and just clasp the outside of the knees. And you give the outside of the knees a bit of support with the hands, and you simply open up the groin here. So whichever version feels best and most nourishing to you. Generally, if you want a bit more of a stretch and deepening, the classical version can take you there. Resting into that ground beneath us that's so happy to receive us, so happy that we're taking time for ourselves. You can just imagine the floor and earth beneath you rounding itself like a nest or a bed, just to receive your body and your presence. A few more deep breaths here, feeling the spine long. Releasing any tension or holding in the face, the jaw especially. Good. And then letting the feet come down to the earth. And we're going to take, with the feet planted on the ground and the knees bent, you're going to take your feet to the edges of your mat. So you're going to have kind of a wide stance with the feet. And then the knees are going to fall together in the middle. And so with the knees together and the arms down by the sides, I like the palms face up as a more receptive and easeful posture or stance, I suppose. And it also, I feel my shoulder blades relax and let go and connect more with the earth. So I like to have my palms up. And then we're just going to take some windshield wipers with the knees back and forth. So the ankles, we're coming onto the edges of our feet, inside edge and outside edge of our feet, as the knees simply follow each other and sway back and forth. And we're just encouraging a gentle twisting through the spine and the low back especially. Finding a nice little rhythm of back and forth movement. You don't have to go all the way to the ground. And this kind of slide and glide motion, this back and forth that I encourage in both the joint articulation and in movements like this, really good for all the fascia of the body, the connective tissue. It really helps irrigate it and nourish it. It wants some repetition as opposed to just long static stretching and holds. So it's this kind of slide and glide repetitive motion really helps to keep that loose and easy. And as you continue, you might find that your body feels more ready to go a little deeper. So you might find your knees closer to the ground. You might want to stay in one side for a little bit longer. So continue to explore and find your rhythm and space here and what feels good for you. As always, I encourage you to continue to connect with the breath, and if you can, even link breath and movement. So you can exhale as you come down, inhale up through center, and then exhale to the opposite side. And when you're ready, why don't we come down to one side, drop the shoulders away from the ears, and you can support the top knee with the foot underneath. And if the bottom knee isn't reaching the ground and it feels strained in any way, you can take a pillow or any tool or prop and just place it under the knee. If you have a yoga block, that's perfect as well. And you can just place it under that bottom knee for support so you're not straining. And then we're just going to release back into the twist. And making sure as best we can that the shoulder blade, the opposite shoulder blade from the way that our knees are pointing, we're doing our best to keep that shoulder blade engaged with the ground. So you can just take your awareness there and check, is my opposite shoulder blade and arm relaxed and on the ground? Still connected even as I'm twisting to the opposite direction. When we take deep breaths in twists, it helps to squeeze the organs a bit, and it moves any stagnation, any kind of blood that's gotten stuck. It really just helps to detoxify and squeeze. It helps to move our digestion around. It's a really beautiful and important thing to give ourselves, I think even on a daily basis. When you're ready, let's inhale up through center and twist over to the opposite side. Beautiful. So, making sure the shoulder blades are on the ground, taking a nice twist, letting gravity do the work. And if it feels comfortable for you, close the eyes down. Bring the attention inward. And just take stock of how you're feeling right now. Whether that's emotionally, mentally, spiritually, or simply physically. And just breathe into whatever is arising through that awareness. There's nothing to change or shift. We're simply getting curious about where we are in relationship to ourselves. Maybe it feels good to take a deep breath and sigh out. Beautiful. Good. And bringing the knees back up through center. And maybe taking one more reclined butterfly just to open. And then before drawing the knees up and extending the legs out nice and long. Again, shake the ankles, shake the feet, give a nice big kind of release to the whole lower body. And maybe even if you'd like, you can take the arms up above and give the hands a shake, give the fingers a flick. Deep breath, release through the mouth. Good, beautiful. And I'd love you to come into just a resting Shavasana posture. So the feet and the legs are out towards the edges of the mat, the ankles are splayed open, and the arms are down by your sides at a 45-degree angle. Give yourself some space from your body, and let the palms come face up as the shoulder blades ground down, the shoulders relax, and the back of the head begins to sink and be held by the support of the earth. I'm just going to guide you through a bit of a internal body scan while you lay in Shavasana. And this is just to encourage a deep sense of rest and replenishment before we move on and finish this practice. So if it feels comfortable for you, closing down the eyes. If not, you can simply soften the gaze. And just melting into the back body. Melting into this sense of support and ease coming from both the earth and gravity. Allowing ourselves to be held, to be cradled. We are not doing this alone. We can always come back to a sense of pause and rest. We can connect with the earth, with ourselves, with our space, with our breath. Giving yourself that gift of conscious relaxation. And as we draw our awareness down through the body, starting at the top of the head, we're encouraging each and every place we touch with our awareness to simply let go and relax. Coming into the forehead, the eyes, the back of the head, the jaw, the back of the neck and the throat, the shoulders, the tops of the arms, the elbows and the forearms, the wrists, the palms and backs of the hands, fingers and fingertips. And then down through the collarbones and the chest, the upper back and the rib cage, softening in the heart and the lungs, the diaphragm and the belly, the mid and low back, just letting the entire upper body and torso melt. Pour down heavily into the support of the earth. filling the pelvic bowl and the hips with a weightiness, comfort that connects us, makes us feel grounded and tethered to both ourselves and the environment. Taking awareness to the tops of the legs, the hips and thighs, and then the backs of the legs to the glutes and the hamstrings, down to the knees, the shins, and the calves, the ankles, the heels, the tops of the feet, the soles of the feet, all the way to the tips of the toes. Feeling the entirety of your body in space, in connection, grounded and present. From the top of the head all the way to the bottoms of the feet. And just resting in gratitude for everything that our body, even with all its quirks and personalities, everything that it allows us to do each and every day. So perhaps just taking an inward or even outward smile on the face in recognition and appreciation for this beautiful vessel and container that we get to experience and be with, that has so much wisdom and intuition and lessons for us if we learn how to pay attention to it. Take a moment to note how you feel now, how you might feel different from where you were when we started this practice. And I'm going to close here, but I want to encourage you to stay resting as long as feels good for you. If more movement comes, that's great. If a nap comes, that's wonderful. And just give yourself a bit of grace and space to transition out. We've entered a really sweet space with the nervous system. We're calm and collected. And so I encourage you to move slowly out of this space, whenever and whatever way you'd like to. Thank you so much for joining me. You can check below the video for the writing prompt, and I hope this practice inspired a lot of groundedness, connection, and inspiration for you. And I encourage you to get your journal and pen whenever you're ready and just see what arises. Beautiful. Thank you so much, and wishing you a really wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next Sunday.